the IELTS Podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Recent speaking questions. We're going to look at cue cards, and these are the new ones we've sourced and we've had students hand in. You know, they've gone to the exam and they heard these, and we're going to work through these. These are recent cue cards seen by students on the exam, and I'm going to give you some sample answers. Now, obviously, your answer is going to depend on your experience in life, but I can give you model answers, obviously with perfect grammar, and these will just help you to guide you so you know what a Band 9 answer will look like. Now, before we get started, let me just tell you who I am. My name is Ben Worthington, and I've been an English tutor now for almost 12, 15 years, around that time. I left England, I started teaching in Spain, I quickly specialised in IELTS, and that's what helped me, really just deliver results. Because if you're just teaching adults or you're teaching, students or young kids, it's difficult to really tell whether what you're doing is working or not. Whereas if you specialize in IELTS, you've got a fixed objective. The student's going to pass or they're going to fail. I mean, fair enough, the other students might have their exams, but they don't have that kind of pressure, and they don't have as faster feedback cycle. So this is why I decided to specialize in IELTS, and this led me to creating and setting up IELTSPodcast.com, which is where it started by me interviewing all the IELTS experts I could find, linguistic experts, and then putting all their advice. If it worked, I tested it on my students first. If it worked, I put it into the online course, and that's why we can offer the guarantee of jump to Band 7, or it's free. So go to IELTSPodcast.com and you can sign up for extra IELTS material, but you can also get more information about that successful course we've got of jump to Band 7, or it's free. Obviously, it's not just going to get you to Band 7 if you're a Band 7 already. Our tutors, our ex-IELTS examiners, all native English speakers, will help you get to Band 8 or Band 9. Right then, let's jump into it. Describe a person who contributes to the society. Who this person is, how do you know him or her, what type of work does he or she do, and explain why you think he or she contributes to society. Okay, let's jump into it. I'd like to tell you about my auntie. She is a nurse. Now, nurses, especially recently with the pandemic and the corona crisis, nurses have been integral to our society. Because the hospitals have just been overloaded, the nurses and especially the doctors and the whole medical profession have really excelled. So my auntie, she's a nurse. Obviously, I know her through family, and I get to hear firsthand about her experiences in the hospital. Now, the type of work she does, I don't know exactly. What I can tell you, though, is that over the last year or two, she has been operating close to exhaustion. And to be honest, I think she's in charge of taking initial readings when the people are admitted to the hospital. Now, I think she contributes a lot to society. Well, just for example, in the UK, during the corona crisis, a lot of people, in fact, I think it was a national event where people would stand outside their house and clap in order to show their appreciation for the medical profession. So, I mean, that's one way the society can show how this profession contributes, but I think she contributes to society just by helping people, by helping the sick, and especially in the UK where the health service is free. So she contributes a lot with her expertise, her knowledge, her time, her care, and just her general attitude, because you've got to be positive in this job. And that's my talk about somebody who contributes to society, and I hope you liked it. There we go. So in that brief kind of like description, you hopefully may have heard a little bit of inversion. Also, I tried to use a lot of comparative conjunctions. Also, I used a lot of examples, which just helped me talk a little bit longer. I talked about the UK, and I tried to switch it from general to specific, just to show like my linguistic dexterity. But I also tried to sprinkle in quite a few higher language functions, and especially lexical resource like integral, which just means very important. Also, I was using the QCAD as a guide. So let's move on to the next one. Describe a rule that you do not like. You should say what it is, why you do not like it, how others feel about the rule, and explain whether you have followed the rule. Okay, I'm going to tell you about a rule in my local gym. The gym has a swimming pool, and this rule, I think, yes, it must be a rule actually, because I got told off, but you have to wear one of those horrible silicone rubber swimming caps when you enter the pool. Now, I can understand it's for hygiene, it's for safety, but when I left England, when I was living there, we never had to wear these hats, and I think this is probably why I dislike this rule. Also, I dislike the texture and the feeling of the silicone, the rubber, and it's really tight around my head. I don't like the rubber touching my skin. It just feels really disgusting, and I don't know how other people feel about the rule, in all fairness. I would imagine, I'm hypothesizing here, but I would imagine that maybe somebody like my friend who's got really long curly hair, I could imagine it's just a nightmare trying to get all of that hair into one of those rubber caps. To be honest, I don't entirely know. And I have tried to follow this rule. I remember once I bought a special cap. I bought like a cotton one that was just to get by. And I did break the rule once by accident. I saw everybody in the pool with a cap, and I just thought, I'll give it a shot. It might be personal preference. I jumped in the pool, did a few laps, and within a few minutes, I got whistled, and I got told to wear a cap. I didn't have one, so I had to get out. So this probably explains another reason why I dislike the rule. And that's my talk about a rule that I'm not so keen on, and I hope you liked it. Now, again, in this talk, I just went through the bullet points kind of methodically. There, I talked about the past, about what happened in Spain when I jumped in without the hat. I was quite descriptive about the rubber, the silicone, how it feels on the skin. I gave another example. And also, which was quite important, in that example, I hypothesized, and I specifically said, I'm hypothesizing here. Not to give the examiner a heads up to the points, but you can actually say this in normal speech. I'm actually hypothesizing. I'm actually just guessing here. And I'm guessing because obviously I've never asked my friend who's got really long curly hair about how she feels about wearing silicone caps. However, I would imagine, I would guess, I would hypothesize that it is a bit of a pain. Okay, moving on. Describe a gift you would like to buy for your friend. You should say what gift you would like to buy, who you would like to give it to, why you would like to buy a gift for your friend, and explain why you chose that gift or why you choose that gift. Let's see. So I'm going to talk about a present that I will buy for my friend, probably when I get back to the UK. The gift will be, it's not a traditional gift. It's not a material item. It's more of an experience, which I think is another level of gift giving once you reach experiences, because the experiences can be told, they can be shared, and it's so much richer than, saying I've got this new object. So I would like to give it to my friend called Lucas, and he's a bit of a driving nut. He loves cars, he loves lorries, he loves all types of driving vehicles. And this gift that I'd like to give him is a truck driving experience. And he's always talked about he'd love to drive a truck, big semi. And I was inspired to give him this gift because at Christmas, my sister-in-law got a similar gift about driving a double-decker bus and a lorry, and she showed me the photos, and I was like, my friend would love that too. So I'll probably buy it for him this year. His birthday's coming up, I think late February, so I'll buy him that. And the main reason I want to buy him this experience is because he can tell people, he can share it. And as I said before, it's much better than saying something like, oh, look at my new iPhone 13, for example. And that's the gift that I'd like to give for him. Also, just one last thing. It's something that I don't think he would ever buy for himself. And this is another reason why I think it would make the perfect gift. There we go. So you probably heard a lot of conditionals. I did modify this story. I bought this exact gift for my dad for the same reasons. I bought it at Christmas for him. However, I didn't want to change what was on the cue card. I just kept with the topic. And I kept to the topic for a few reasons. One, obviously task response. Secondly, it said describe a gift you would. So it's obviously inviting me there to use the conditional. So I'm going to go with it and not switch it and talk about a gift I did buy in the past. Also, again, lots of rich vocabulary, the driving experience. And I was going to go off on a tangent talking about experiences, but I brought myself back. I brought myself back to the cue card. So if you hear yourself going off on a tangent, slightly veering off, even though you love the topic, get yourself back on to it, or at least kind of just apply it to the cue card that's in front of you. Now, in my recent explanation of this cue card, I wanted to talk a lot about experiences and how they make the person appear so much better with their friends. If they're talking about, oh, I did this last weekend, that's something that just encourages you to share, to talk. I did this, my friend bought it for me, it was amazing, I had to turn this massive steering wheel, and so on, rather than saying, oh, look at my phone, or look at my new MP3 player, whatever. I wanted to go into that, I wanted to share that, but obviously it's not on the cue card. Not so specifically. So I cut it short and got back to why I would like to buy it. Okay, final one. Describe a habit your friend has and you want to develop. You should say who your friend is, what habit your friend has, when you notice this habit, and explain why you want to develop this habit. Right. I'd like to tell you about my friend Jason. He's a local friend here in the city where I live, and every Friday, him and a few others, we get together and we call it Pizza Friday. Anyway, my friend was telling me that he's now not working in the afternoons. He's self-employed, but he said, what I wanted to do, Ben, was just get all my work done in the morning and work really hard, really intense, extremely productive, And then in the afternoons, I'm going to do whatever I want to. And I was amazed by this, and I was really skeptical at first. And I noticed he was following through on this new habit, because in the afternoons, he was always free. He was always doing something. He was either going to the swimming baths, he was either meeting up with friends, he was exploring the city all the time in the afternoon. So it was obviously working for him. I think he described it really well. He said working like a lion rather than a cow. And the idea is that a lion works maybe like an hour a day, just doing an intense hunt, and then chills the rest of the day, whereas the cow is just munching grass all day, working casually, passively all day, and then goes to sleep at the end. And yeah, two different styles of eating, but just applied as an analogy to work. Anyway, I would like to develop this idea, or this habit, because this would enable me, obviously, to have my afternoons free so I could dedicate them to my health and fitness. And this is a habit that my friend has, and one of my goals this year is actually to develop it. And that's my talk, and I hope you liked it. So there we go. I did slightly go off on a small tangent, but it was relevant, and it did include a lot of decent vocabulary. That tangent was about the lions and the cows, or the lion and the cow. But it kind of, I think it improved in comprehension, because you can immediately get what I was talking about. Also, it let me use a comparative conjunction, whereas, and this just helps, this just enriches your whole speaking sort of like talk, and also lots of examples there, and I jam-packed it with lots of decent vocabulary. I heard myself repeating very at the beginning, very productive, very enjoyable, and then I switched it to extremely. So that's another sort of like tip that you could take into account, is that if you hear yourself repeating certain words, then switch them out and aim to improve that vocabulary score. Okay, that's it from me today. We're going to be doing a lot more recent question samples, questions and answers, or questions and sample answers. So keep an eye out for those. The best way to keep an eye out is to go to IELTSPodcast.com, sign up for our mailing list. You'll get lots of IELTS materials, plenty of discounts, and it's just a great way to keep in touch. And you'll also get updated as soon as we publish some more recent questions with sample answers. So thanks again for listening. Have a great day and take care. Good luck with your IELTS.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.